Alright, time to get started. Alright, to my one viewer, Rico. Right now I'm going to be reviewing all of the books, movies, TV shows, and games I did in 2022, plus December last year. So, yeah, let's get started. Rico, which one should I start with? Any thoughts?
Go ahead and start at the bottom right.
Alright, let's do Cookie Clicker. I played this game for research this year. I was thinking about making a clicker type game. It was okay. It's a classic clicker game. I say it's B tier.
Is it because of that we see?
No, I played it just because it was the first one that came to mind. Let's see, what else? Team Fortress 2. Yeah, it's kind of mid.
Mid Fortress, baby.
I finally quit this game this year, kind of. Sort of. I mean, I still play it every now and
Here
then.
every night.
Yeah, I'm here once a week. I play tournaments every once in a while now. And, gas games, but that's about it. As far as playing, I actually have not played it as much recently.
Is it worse than Cookie Clicker?
No, I mean it's something. I'm not really putting it in order. It's just B tier for now. It's had some fun matches, had a good career, but it's finally my time. I've aged out of the league. It's no longer my time. But yeah, it's a fun game. I'll come back one day. But right now I am enjoying not being tied to my computer at 10 p.m. every day. Have another drink. Let's see, what next? What do I feel like talking about? Half-Life 2. I didn't think where to put this. I mean, so the thing is, I really liked this game when I played the first 2/3 when I was a kid, and that was like 10 years ago. And then I finally finished my save file this year, like 8 to 10 years later. And it wasn't, the last third wasn't as good, but I'll still put it A tier, I think. The problem is, like, I missed all my favorite parts when I finished my playthrough, because I didn't get to play through Ravenholm or the boat section or the Highway 17 part. I missed like all the best parts on the replay. So
it wasn't even a replay. It was more of a continuation.
Yeah, continuation. What do you think? No, you're mad. I didn't play it for you because you've been asking.
I am mad that you didn't play it for me.
All right, what next? Take your pick.
What's the Hibject in the white next to Plateau?
Oh, that is 100 hidden objects. It's all right. It's they're like $1 games on Steam. It's like like a child's hidden picture book, but they're kind of amusing. I was recommended it by my kids, Allie and Mage.
Okay.
So it was all right. A little distraction. What's up next? Take your pick.
Plateau.
What is that?
With the thing that was next to Hibjects. I don't know if it actually says Plateau. It just says Atu. I just guessed that it would be.
That's another game my kids recommended me.
What is it?
Play It Up. It's kind of like not Diner. It's kind of like Overcooked a little bit, and with some like roguelite elements and kind of like sort of pseudo deck building. It's kind of neat. But we only played it once, and we died in like literally the last second of a run, right before we won. But it was pretty fun. I'd say it's average. I'd have to play it more to give a deeper opinion on it.
The fifth anime. So the number 5 on the list.
3, 4, 5. I can't tell what this. This is the one Trobert told me to watch. This is Isekai Oji-san, which I thought sounded really stupid, and it is really stupid. It's kind of just an average show. It's nothing impressive. I might say
is everything going to be B tier?
No, I'd say it's like almost C tier. It's like a good C tier though. I still liked it, but it also had like production issues, so it didn't even get finished on time. So just get like episode 7 or something. I'd say it's like C tier. It's not terrible, but it's still better than most the isekai trash. Not that I watched that shit.
Sorry.
But yeah, Blood Meridian. That's definitely an A tier, maybe even S tier. I'd say it's A tier because just in terms of fun, it wasn't the most fun to read, but in terms of just being a well-made piece of media, I mean, it's considered one of the best books of all time for a good reason. Have you ever read the book or heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it's about.
I'm telling you the entire book right now. So there's this
Okay.
one kid, and then he rode into town and he killed some people, and then they rode on. Then he met with some people, and they rode on together, and they killed some people, and they raped some people, and they killed some more people, and then they rode on, and then they raped and killed some more people, and then they rode on, and then they all died in the end. And there's this big fat naked guy that kills everyone.
That sounds awful.
No, it's really good.
Okay, Donda, or what I can assume is Donda.
That was I tried to remove all the music albums because I felt like it would take too long, but I guess I left Donda in here by accident. Donda, honestly, I didn't like Donda that much. It's like honestly D tier. I don't remember a single song from the album.
Donda was too long. I liked the first half of the album, and I was like, wow, this is a pretty decent album. And then I saw that there was fucking like 12 songs remaining, and I was like, this album fucking sucks.
I don't know. I'm putting a D
Takes
for
too long.
now, but I think I might re-listen to it, and I might like it better when I re-listen to it.
Yeah, I liked it on the re-listen, but again, I liked the first half on the re-listen, and I was like, dude, this is too long.
So didn't mean to put the music album there, but it's already here, so put it there. What's next?
Momentum Mod.
Momentum Mod. Where is that at?
It's you're right on it.
Okay. I really put great thumbnails, didn't I?
Yeah.
Momentum Mod, I'd say it's B tier. I've been playing it a lot, but it doesn't really add enough of the accessibility features that I was hoping for. Quite yet, it's still more convenient than loading into a server, but it still leaves some things to be desired in terms of convenience. But I did end up playing it a lot. I played it, finally beat my first surf map. Got a sub-minute time on Utopia. Not that it's a hard map or anything, but, considering it took me like 8 to 10 hours to beat the map for the first time, I'm very proud of my accomplishment. And I played a bunch of like tier 2s and tier 3s in rocket jumping.
The second anime.
Second anime? I'll get to that later. I actually just read that today. So.
Okay. In that case, do the one to the left of Dota.
Left of Dota. Oh, Soccer Quest. It's like C tier. It's not bad. It was just, I like the concept. It sort of a small town slice of life type of thing, with adult characters. Working jobs. I thought, maybe I can psych myself up for starting a job by watching a show about people having jobs. It might make jobs sound fun. It was okay though. It was unexceptional. It wasn't too memorable, even though it had a few good episodes.
But Chainsaw Mid. Next to
Chainsaw Mid.
On the far right.
Let's see. I think I'm trying to see if I have a different one for the book and the show. Show so far is, the show actually hasn't covered anything really that interesting, so it's kind of just mid. It really is Chainsaw Mid. The book, I read the whole book in like one day, so I got to give it some credit for that, I guess. Like, well, it might not be my favorite or most interesting thing I've ever read. It was definitely entertaining, considering I read it all in one day. So I got to give it some credit for that. What did you think of Chainsaw Mid?
I thought that in Chainsaw Mid was I didn't read it in one day. I'm normally a fast reader, so normally I do get through manga pretty fast. So I'll say that's probably like that's my excuse that I can say that it's Chainsaw Mid. I wasn't like super hooked on it. I mean, I think it has a weak start, an okay middle, and then it has a strong finish.
I like the ending. The last third was good.
The last third was good, but it's the debate of was 66% of your manga being fucking shitty build up worth it? Maybe. I would probably.
Would you say it's like a B tier if this was your list?
Yeah, I'd probably put it in B tier.
Yeah. I thought the first third was like kind of meh. The middle third was like decent, and the last third, yeah, I agree, was good. Also, have you read the part 2 yet? I started reading the part 2. I kind of like it so far.
I read like the first. I read chapter 101 and 102, and then I stopped. I didn't really get to it. I was like, whatever, I'll catch up to it after it has a few chapters.
Yeah, it's up to like 112 right now, so it's got like a decent amount. But
did you actually finish Broken Age?
I mean, I watched you play it. I'm counting that.
Okay, Broken Age.
I also wasn't there for all of it, so I can't have much opinion on it. I just really thought it was funny The one kid being in Dudinka 300 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I got to give it some points for that. What
Um,
next?
the one underneath Bully.
See, that
Bully's
is
on the far
Death and
right.
Taxes. This one was another one that it wasn't bad. It's kind of like Papers, a game like Papers, Please, sort of, but you play as the Grim Reaper. You work in an office. I destroyed the entire world on my first playthrough, so I kind of played it wrong, I guess. The story was okay, but it wasn't exceptional. It wasn't as impactful as something like Papers, Please. It kind of tried to be that, but wasn't quite as good. So I'd say it's C. It wasn't terrible. It had an interesting kind of mechanic, but overall not the best.
Go ahead and rate Obamium over there in the left.
Oh, yeah, that was the one game Wacky made us play. Ultimate Scuffed Bunny Hop Simulator,
Oh, right, that.
which is so unfortunately it was not
I
very good.
forgot. I forgot. Oh my god. What's Butt Park right above Smiling Friends? It's on
Butt
the
Park.
left. Yeah, I don't know what it
Oh,
says.
that's Putt Party. I beat Wacky in that game, so I got to give it at least a C tier. He challenged me to a best of 7 series. I won 42. One of his wins he cheated because he got a glitch in his favor. So, you know, any game that allows me to show my dominance over that incel piece of shit is a good game in my opinion. So I got to give it at least
Modern
C tier.
Warfare 3.
Yeah, that's another one. It's an okay military shooter. It's fun to finally finish the trilogy because I played the first two when I was a kid. It's fun to finally get around to finishing it and killing the main bad guy since he lived at the end of Modern Warfare 2. But overall, the campaign wasn't as good as the other two games. It just felt very generic, relatively. The difficulty was actually pretty well balanced. I played on because I know in some of the earlier games the part difficulties were really unbalanced and had some really shitty parts, but it was actually pretty balanced in this one. Almost a little bit too easy in some parts. Overall, though, it was just okay.
Nut County. This
Nut
is with
County.
the yeah.
That was another one. I liked that game. It was one of those like short 2 to 3 hour puzzle games. Had a kind of funny, silly narrative, and you know, it's just a nice like chill game to play for a couple hours. I liked it. I probably wouldn't pay full price for it, but considering I got it on sale for just a couple bucks, it's about the right price considering how much content there is, and it was good. It was good content for the most part.
Uh, Honey Pop.
Honey Pup, where's that? Find it.
Middle bottom row, right there.
Honey Pup is definitely at least A tier. I'd say Honey Pup. So I started replaying on the hardest difficulty, and it actually adds a lot to the game. So once you have the hardest difficulty, each day increases. So instead of having just one baggage effect for each, you have all the baggage effects stacked up. It actually makes it really difficult and makes all the dates really different. So you really had to strategize and like pick which sex toys you're gonna bring on your date, and how you're gonna plan things beforehand. So it's actually a pretty in-depth puzzle game. You can play on the harder difficulty. So I actually would say Honey Pop. I haven't finished the playthrough because I lost my save file, but I would say from what I played, it does add a lot to the game, especially more so over the normal difficulty.
The thing to the right of League of Legends.
Oh, the show was
What is it?
it's just some weeb shit, you know.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to pronounce the title. It's something Recoil, but you know, I'd say it's like C or B. I'd probably say it's like a good C. You know, it had good action scenes. It had the main characters were really nice, and you know, had a good dynamic and all. I would say the weaknesses. It was a little bit unambitious towards the ending. The ending, I think they could have made it a little bit, done a little bit more with it. It's kind of just a very straightforward, happy ending, which I don't think they necessarily should have had a bad ending, but I think they could have. They played almost a little bit too safe. But overall, it was a decent show. I liked it.
Effects.
Also, the ending song is really good. I really like the ending song. You know,
Okay.
what other thing?
All of the Mass Effects.
All the Mass Effects were.
They were to the right of League of Legends.
Mass Effect 1's definitely an S tier for me. That's definitely one of the best games I've ever played. Even though it's like very unpolished relatively, Even though I played on the hardest difficulty, which made the combat actually really shitty for the first third, it made it extremely unfun. But once you get the explosive rounds, you just ragdoll every enemy with every shotgun blast, which is really funny. And then you can levitate them and launch them to the atmosphere with one shot. It gets really overpowered and it's not very well balanced, but it's really fun. And of course, it definitely has the best story out of any of the games. It has the most focused story. And I finally got to play all the DLC for it, which I really enjoyed. Overall, I'd say Mass Effect 1 definitely top tier, even though the combat's not even good, aside from just being kind of gimmicky and funny. And Mass Effect 2, the combat is actually a lot better for the most part, aside from the enemies being really bullet spongy. And the individual characters' stories are good. The main problem is that the actual main story doesn't fit well into the trilogy, and it isn't really that interesting compared to the first game. But overall, gameplay-wise, obviously, it is a huge improvement. And I played Vanguard this time, which is actually extremely fun. It's a lot more fun than just the plain soldier class.
Cyberpunk.
Okay, yeah, I watched the show. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll play the game now, and it overheated my computer within 10 minutes. Even though my computers cost like $3,000, so I'm blaming the game on that one, and I just never played it since then. That's a D tier for me. It told me it was fixed, but it doesn't seem very fixed to me.
2 to the right of Dota.
This one's still ongoing. I actually really like the show so far. It's kind of like it's kind of like Yakuza. I don't mean like the real life Yakuza. It's more like
No,
it's
like
almost
the game.
yeah, it's almost like the game Yakuza. It's kind of like that tone, but all instead of Yakuza families, all the Yakuza families are just like maid cafes.
I see.
It's really bloody and violent, which is like kind of a funny contrast. It's only like halfway through, so I don't know. It might end up being good, might end up being bad. So far, it's pretty solid. I'm liking what I'm seeing
Dick
so
and
far.
Bones.
What is Dick and Bones?
Oh, on the left, Dick and Bones.
I don't know what the fuck. Oh, Dick and Bones. This is like a fun little narrative game. It's like 45 minutes to an hour. It's kind of like one of those cutscene only games, like a David Cage type of game. But it's more like a silent film comedy. It's very unpolished, but it was kind of funny, kind of just a unique little experience. I'll give it a C tier. It's worth it for a few dollars. I probably wouldn't buy it for full price on sale though. It's definitely worth it, I think.
The thing where Dick and Bones was.
Oh no! So I'm just gonna pick this, the milk
Yeah,
games.
that one. Yeah. What is that?
It's a milk inside a bag of milk and milk outside a bag of milk outside a bag of milk. But I'll go ahead and just rank them. They're basically the same thing. They're kind of like this schizophrenic little visual novel. It's about an hour and a half long combined. It's I mean, the story is nothing fancy, but the way it's presented with the graphics and it has a very unique presentation that's kind of hard to describe. It has a very unique art style, kind of this looks like a Virtual Boy game almost. Overall, I mean, it seems like one of those like semi-pretentious indie games about mental health. But overall, I think they did a very good job with the presentation and sounds and all that. So I'll give it a C tier. I liked it. Though I consider like anything but like C tiers at least. You know, it was worth my time, and D tier is like the one's like actually bad. I might have to add an F tier, but I'll do that later.
When you get something that's actually F tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, this might be F tier right here. I think I might have to add it right now.
Okay. As you add F tier, go ahead and do Bully.
Fuck. I gotta fix this. I was putting Cyberpunk down here too. Bully's a very good game. I'd say that's like that's an A tier for me. I mean, a lot of the reason I enjoyed it was more just like nostalgia bait, but it's still a pretty well designed game. Like I don't know. I mean, it's definitely dated, but it still works like for the most part, and it's kind of unique. It's actually a unique setting. I mean, there's a bunch of like weeb games that are set in a school, but this one of the few American games that's set in a high school. And so I don't know. I enjoyed it so far. More I played.
Do the one with. Sorry. What?
That's done.
Oh, okay. Do the one with Ricardo Milos and Fujiwara Chika and the
Uh,
gnome.
which one is that?
It's right there. It's right there to the left one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely an eight. Oh, that's actually an S tier.
What is that?
That's the video I showed you a while ago. It's a series of short
Oh,
videos,
that
Flex
one. No,
Air.
that one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
that
now.
is so well done for a shit post. It's one of the most high production quality shit posts I've ever seen, and the way the music syncs up with the action is actually so well done. I gotta give him like it's definitely an S tier for me. S tier series. I hope it gets finished.
Okay. Better Call Saul. Sorry, Better Call Mid.
I think Better Call Saul was an A tier last season. There were a few parts I didn't like about the last season. Spoilers. I didn't like that. I didn't like that Lolo died doing the cliche villain monologue thing. And there's a few other just particular complaints. I did like the ending for the most part. And I do think it overall wrapped things up pretty well. I thought the most interesting part of the season was how they jumped straight from breaking up with Saul up to Breaking Bad era Saul Goodman, which is a very unintuitive way to introduce the transition, but is very creative because it still actually made complete sense. So that's one of the most interesting parts. And I think the ending, I think my only problem with the ending was they hyped it up outside of on like their interviews and social media too much. They're saying, "Oh, it's going to be a very surprising ending," but it actually ended up being pretty much exactly what I expected, which isn't bad. Uh, it's just the way they portrayed it. I thought it was going to be something a little bit different. Overall, I think it was a good last season to wrap up the series. Actually,
Yu Yu Hakusho.
I'd probably give it an S tier, even with some flaws. I still think it was. I mean, I only saw a few episodes, so I can't really say too much about it. I'll just put it here for now. If we ever rewatch it later, I may change my mind. The only parts I remember was the Sherman arc where they just beat each other up, and then that guy fell in a lake and killed the other guy somehow. And then I liked the one girl. She had a really cool leather jacket and jeans combo, kind of that biker chick look. I like that.
Multiverses.
I gotta give that.
Top right.
It keeps moving around. I gotta give that an F tier, honestly, because I wanted to play as LeBron James, but he cost 3,000 coins. So
Is that
I
three
figured
dollars?
I don't know. It's definitely more than $3. It's probably like $10 or something. And on top of that, just the gameplay didn't feel. The netcode felt okay, but the actual gameplay itself felt very floaty. Compared to even Smash Melee has better. It just has better feedback for hits and stuff like that. It just felt like your attacks just didn't have enough impact, which is really sad because I really like the cast of characters and I think I really wanted to get into the game, but it just didn't feel good compared to the actual Smash games.
PUBG. Bottom left.
Yeah, I'm really glad we made this F tier. Bottom
PUBG's
left.
bottom left. Bottom left. Yeah.
Oh, that's not quite bottom left, but yeah. Yeah, PUBG. I played with Wacky Fire for a few games, which was an awful experience. On top of that, it's just an awful game that's badly optimized and very clunky and very dated, and not in a good way. PUBG F
Uh,
tier.
the thing to the left of Dark Souls.
Let's
Dark
see.
Souls at the top right, and then
Oh, I'll come back to that. I'm gonna get all the weeb stuff done at the end. I think.
okay, okay. In that case, so in that case, no Evangelion, no Kaguya.
Actually, no. I'll just do this now. I give this. It's gonna be controversial. I'm gonna give it an A tier.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's called Boki the Rock. It's kind of like K-On meets that one. You know that one show. I forgot what it's
Were there a
called.
post-apocalyptic war?
No, no, no. It has nothing to do with that. What was that one show called? It has the really socially awkward girl.
Hakomi?
No, not that one. It's an older one, like kind of an old one, like early
Well,
2010s. Okay.
there's
Well,
a
anyway,
few.
the point is, it's like one of those, but it's like kind of like K-On also, which I really like K-On, and not just that. Like, I mean, it's it's more just the way it's presented. They get very creative with how they present things in the show, and also since I just like music in general, it appeals to me in that way. So very controversially, going to give it an A tier. I don't know who this is.
Okie dokie.
I don't really know who this is controversial to, but no one seems to be arguing. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't argue.
Trevor told me also said he liked it. But so
Doki.
I guess it's not even controversial. I guess it's anti-controversial.
Very cold take.
So I'd say Doki Doki, probably C tier. The game itself is not my favorite game. It's more just I really like the sort of. I find the game itself like as a product very inspiring. That someone made a game about that he just really wanted to create, and then released it for free, and it became a huge hit. And the game itself is okay. It's just not as a game, it's not the best, but it's a it's a solid game. I played the new side stories; they were a little bit generic, but uh, I like they showed another side to the characters.
See, that's a hot take in my high school friend group because there's like two people there that are like, yeah, that game, the lore, the characters are so deep and meaningful, and
I think they're just horny and they don't want to admit it.
okay, they don't say it about all the characters. They say that specifically about Monica and then Sayori
Mm.
to a lesser extent.
I have no
Dark,
opinion on that, but
dark mid,
Dark Mid. What is Dark Mid?
Souls, yeah.
Dark Souls is not mid. Dark Souls is one
Yeah.
of the best games I've ever played. Let's play Dark Souls.
You scrolled over it several times, dude. It's top left, top right. Sorry, top middle.
I'm sorry, I didn't recognize it as Urksol.
Oh, I should have read it. My bad.
But Urksol is definitely S tier. I mean, I didn't play through the main story this year, but I played through most, like half of the Ring City DLC. But as a whole, like the game is definitely S tier. It's definitely one of them. It feels more complete than Dark Souls 1. The boss fights are more intense. It's actually a finished product, first of all. I didn't like the world as much as Dark Souls 1. I still think Dark Souls 1 is just overall the better game, even though Dark Souls 1 is more heavily flawed. And it's just more of a novelty at the time when I first played it. But overall, just design-wise, Dark Souls 3 is one of the best designed games, and some of the most exciting boss fights. And even though I haven't beat the Ring City quite yet, I still need to beat the last two bosses. But they're just really fucking good. Adlimonity. So this game is actually, I would give this a higher ranking, but the problem is it keeps crashing on the PC version. So I never got to finish it. I played for the first like third of it. But it's a really funny kind of Twin Peaks like game. And the combat is kind of Resident Evil 4 type. It's a really funny game. It's just, like I said, I really wish I could actually play it because it keeps crashing. And it doesn't have a convenient save feature either, so you end up having to replay a lot of stuff if it crashes.
Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Let's see.
All the way to the left.
Yeah, that's definitely enough. The only time I play that game is when people make me, so every time I play it, I don't have fun.
Peggle. Underneath Dota 2.
Yeah, Peggle's kind of a banger. It's like, I wouldn't say it's the most exciting.
I love how you say it's kind of a banger and immediately drop it in C tier.
It's a banger in the sense that I really appreciate just how clever the design is. It's very cleverly designed, and since it's just a simple concept, just done really well. And it's definitely it's kind of a classic game. It's kind of old at this point. It just makes me very sad that PopCap doesn't make games as good as that anymore. I'm kind of surprised there aren't any new games like that. They're kind of a pseudo Peggle clone, since I don't think they're making Peggle games anymore. As far as
Kaguya Anime.
Kaguya Anime.
Top 3. It's first.
The anime. I mean, the anime wasn't as impactful to me because I saw the first few episodes of the new season and then I read the book. So, but I think the anime is very well done in terms of just how it was executed and how it adapted it. So I got to give that an A tier. Maybe I'll talk more about it when I get to the manga.
Do we want to go to the manga or do we want to wait a bit? Let's wait a bit.
Let's wait. Let's ascend a little bit.
Do the thing right above the Kaguya manga.
Which one? This?
Right above? No. The one right above the manga. So to the right of Dota 2 and above the manga. Above the manga, and to the right of Dota 2.
This? I don't even know what to... Yeah. This is the Fire Emblem movie. It's really bad. But I just watched it while I was drunk with one of my friends. Because it's one of those just really funny, like 90s anime dubs. Where the legendary Hero King is played by the voice of Shinji. Which is pretty funny also.
Perfect Blue.
That movie was... I saw Paprika when I was in college because I took an anime and Japanese culture class. I was going to try to make an excuse for taking it, like I don't like anime. I just was taking the class, but I give up at this point. I think this is kind of exposed some of my interests. Might be too late for that now.
By the time the third anime is on the list, we know.
Yeah, but anyway, so I saw Paprika, which is kind of it's a psychedelic dream movie about dreams. It's probably like one of the most real type of animations, and it's very well animated. And this is also by the same director, one of his older works, Perfect Blue. It's pretty similar, actually. It's about this one woman. She is an idol and she becomes an actor, and she goes through sort of the psychosis because she's being stalked and there's a lot of pressure at work, all that kind of stuff. And the movie becomes really trippy and psychedelic. I like that the ending. It's still a little bit ambiguous, which I like. So it's very dark, but also just very well directed and interesting and unique movie.
The guy holding the sun in his hands. I think it's a book.
Oh, Cat's Cradle. I give that a B tier. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Catch 22 a little bit. It's a very satirical novel by Kurt Vonnegut. It kind of parodies a lot of stuff relating to science and religion. As far as a story, it's somewhat deliberately not a very great story. It's more like it's like 127 short little anecdotes that are sort of chained together, but they'll have a sort of funny little musing. So it started out kind of slow to me. I didn't really get it at first, but since the chapters are so short, I kind of kept reading, and by the end, it kind of comes together, and it's you kind of get into the flow of it. It's interesting.
Okay.
I don't like it as much as Slaughterhouse 5, but I still overall liked it, and we'll probably read some more Vonnegut books at some point.
Thing to yeah, the what you're on right now, that
Oh, Genshin Impact?
Genshin Impact.
Yeah, I mean, and overall, I mostly just play the game as something when I'm listening to podcasts or listening to new music. It's just some idle game to kind of play that doesn't require a whole lot of brain power.
You would say that. So go ahead and do Kovacs, and then you would place it in the same category as Kovacs.
I'd say Kovacs is better because it actually has a useful purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, you actually gain something by playing Kovacs, and by gain something, I mean it'll make you better at another game that doesn't matter.
Spy X Family anime.
Actually, I like the first season better. The new season seems to like adapt a lot of the. I feel like the chapters they chose to adapt is really weird because it kind of messes with the pacing. And also, I mean, I probably just don't like it as much because I went ahead and read the manga before the second season came out. But I did like the first season. All the openings and ending songs are also really good. It's just a really chill show. And I feel like it's kind of disappointing it doesn't show enough of the wife. But I mean, it does later in the manga, but so far the show hasn't really shown that, which I imagine would be pretty disappointing to people that have only seen the show so far.
Smiling Friends.
By the way, let's take a quick break. Do you have any opinions on any of the ones we've played so far?
Okay. So,
Just start from the top and work your way down.
Okay. Okay. No opinion on Mass Effect because I have not played it. I have not finished Better Call Mid. I have the ship post. I that was a really high quality ship post. I can't even honestly. Even though I don't like the music choices, I have to respect it for what it is. I've never owned a console. I haven't played Dark Souls.
It's on
Rape
PC.
is
I
weird.
played it on PC.
Rape is weird. Half-Life 2 is a banger. Chainsaw Mid, I gave my opinion on that. Honey Pop 2, no further comments. Haven't. I'll take your word on that. That the anime is an A tier, but I don't know. I mean, Trobert says it is, so I guess so.
Yeah, I guess Trobert's never been wrong about anything. Oh wait, you're talking about
it's just more of that you two corroborate on it, you know.
Yeah, but I think Trobert has bad taste in things.
Okay, well,
But anyway,
Uh,
go on.
so you're saying I should think that that show's trash. All right.
Arguably,
The,
probably yeah, honestly, because I don't know. He likes some not so good things like League of Legends.
okay,
He
Cookie
is
Clicker
an
is
addict.
definitely like D tier.
Okay, wait. You didn't talk about the anime.
Okay, Kaguya. And I was. Oh yeah, I was gonna say. We might talk about it later, but yeah, Kaguya anime was pretty. It's honestly like just a. It's probably the best one can hope an adaptation can be. That when the adaptation isn't like straight up making the thing better. This is like I felt like Kaguya was very much a you can experience it through the manga or you can experience it through the anime and you will get a kind of similar experience, like as similar as possible. Ultimately, I think that the manga is better, but like this, in terms of being a faithful adaptation, Kaguya is probably one of the closest things to being like completely faithful.
I mean, I don't really like reading manga, so I like the anime a lot better.
Oh well,
Just in terms of like, like one to one the parts it adapted. Because I just think
well but that's precisely why I think
yeah,
that the manga is better. It's because the anime can't adapt everything.
I just think considering it's mostly like a comedy show, having audio visuals definitely enhances that part a lot. I think.
Maybe, maybe. Shout outs to our DILFs out there.
I'm sure you
Um,
have no opinion on TF2.
None. Cookie Cooker should be an F tier, as I said, or at least D tier.
Honestly,
Uh,
it's probably C tier. It's C tier for sure.
like Momentum Mod is fun. I liked it. Broken Age. I don't remember what I rated it, but like I'm
You
pretty
give it
sure I
like a
gave it
seven
like
or an eight.
yeah, I gave it like that's what I was thinking. I was like I don't remember if it was a 7 or an 8. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, whatever. I don't. That doesn't particularly matter. It's oh you put it around the same area. I assume like S is like 99th percentile. A is like 90 to 99. Uh, B is like 80 to 90. C is 70 to 80.
So
Right?
it seems like more like 70 to 50.
70.
It's more
So
like
50. So B is more like 70 to
B
80.
D is yeah. B is more like 70 to 80. D is like 50 to 30, and F is just like the bottom. It's like I did not enjoy these properties.
Okay, I see. Well, yeah, I gave Broken Age like an 8 out of 10. That's so you put it about where I would have put it. Um, Doki Doki, Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite show of all time. So that's lower than I would have wanted it to be, but you live and you learn. Doki Doki Literature Club. Uh, my friends really love to go on about like explaining how like Monica's not a bad guy because it's honestly like really funny. Like
They
there's
have
legitimately
it's like that GIF with the guy explaining the board
yeah
in the
yeah
background.
yeah no, it's literally that, but like it's even funnier because that game is like fucking like 5 years old or something, right? And legitimately less than a week ago we had an argument about it in the Discord.
Who
This
won?
um I'm pretty sure like it was like several people had small victories, and then the argument started because I posted a fan art of something, uh, and someone deleted it because he's like, "This is fucked up." It wasn't even like it. It's this thing right here, right? And they deleted it because, and so it stayed deleted. So I guess they won. Um, yeah, and then
think that's everything you played, aside
And
from
no,
CS.
and CS would be higher, obviously, and then Donda 2 I would put at like C.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair. All right, what do we want to look at next?
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. This game's actually not good. I don't think I played most of it this year. Most of the times I played it this year, I just played a couple games here and there. And I don't know. I mean, it feels basically the same. I really enjoyed the game. I'd probably say it's like B tier, just because when I actually did play it a lot, I was grinding up to get rank 1 with Oni. That was actually a pretty fun journey. Just playing game after game, just actually like focusing on the game and trying to get better. And then finally getting to that rank 1 so I could argue with Georgie. That was a pretty fun journey. But since then, I haven't really tried that hard. It hasn't been as fun, but overall, it's a decent game. It just doesn't really have a lot of competition. It's not very polished either.
What the thing in the far right that's like top right, very top right.
I don't know what this is.
I don't know either.
It's How Fish is Made.
Hey.
It is a sort of like a horror-ish. It's like kind of like RE6JC. It's like one of those playable creepy pastas, and it has some sort of pseudo profound point at the end. It's kind of funny though. I don't dislike it. It just was a little bit underwhelming. Really, it's like C tier. I mean, I didn't dislike it.
I mean, Peggle was like, I thought you said Peggle was a banger, so I'm just comparing it to that.
Yeah, I probably need to like move up. Honestly, I probably just need to move up Peggle. I'll readjust at the end.
Okay. Top Gun.
Top Gun 1. Honestly, I know a friend of mine that I went to school with. He used to love, and he still does love the original Top Gun movie. But I would put it B tier at least though, because I mean, aside from the soundtrack is obviously great. It has classic hits, classics like Playing with the Boys, Danger Zone, all those. But the movie itself, it definitely feels dated, but in a way that's almost a good thing. It just feels like such a product of the 80s. It's almost like a time capsule back to the 80s, which I wasn't really alive then, but it just feels so distinctly 80s that it's kind of cool. So it's a movie I'd seen a couple times before as a kid. And then also one time I was passed out on a couch recovering from a hangover for almost like 12 hours while it was playing in the background. But this is the first time I actually sat down in a while and actually just watched it from beginning to end before I saw the new movie.
Okay. Right to the right of Dota 2.
Oh, this is not the music album that made it in, but this is honestly like at least an A tier album. I watched it because one of the songs was used in the Intro to True Detective, the TV show. And it actually, and the rest of the album actually ended up being really fucking good as well. It's kind of it's a country album, but the lyrics are actually pretty like, I mean, they're not like deep lyrics, but they definitely set the mood very well, and it's just a very overall good album.
Okay. To the right of Dota 2 again.
To the right. Oh, this is Blue Velvet. This is a movie I saw today. This is another. I'm putting it next to Perfect Blue just so I can draw parallels to it, in the sense they're both
blue.
Like, yeah, they're both movies with the word blue in the title that are psychedelic in nature. They have like a dreamlike quality, and they're about like violence and rape and show business and singing and crime and perversion. They have a lot
Why do you have so many things about rape?
Okay, I specifically watched this movie because this movie reminded me of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was thematic, you know.
Okay. So
and also this is just a known classic because there's this one song I really like, "In Dreams" by Roy Orbison, and there's a really famous scene from this movie that's in it, and I was kind of curious to see the rest of the movie because it's one of those very like weird, like almost psychedelic scenes you see. It's like I don't know what the context for this is. It makes me really interested to see the rest of the movie. The plot itself of the movie is actually very straightforward. It's a very kind of straightforward mystery about a guy uncovering a crime, and then there's a super fucking unhinged guy that is the main bad guy, Dennis Hopper. He's a very interesting villain, just because he's so bizarre and he's so erratic. Um, but yeah, it ended up being a pretty good movie. It's not so much about how deep the plot is, more just how it's presented in such a the classic like David Lynch way.
I see. Um, the Inscription.
Inscription, yeah, this one I technically played last year, but since I'm doing this in November, I'm counting last month to last year. I'd say Inscription. It's bordering on S tier. It's really interesting how it lures you in. Like it almost looks like it's like
Like it's what?
it almost makes it looks like a roguelite type of game at first, but then it ends up being sort of like this weird narrative, uh, fourth wall breaking Doki Doki Literature style game. The first two thirds of the game were really the first third was really interesting in the cabin. The second third in the game world was also just a holy shit, what is this? Uh, Turned the game on the head. It was really shocking. The last third was it felt a little bit underwhelming in comparison, but it did have some cool moments. There's one part where you choose a file from your computer, and if and you turn it into a card to play, and then if that card dies, then the file in your computer gets deleted. So I had sort of a crossover episode with Doki Doki Literature Club, where I took my Monica character file and used it as a card, which is actually a really cool moment.
I see.
But overall, the game itself, I feel like the ending was slightly underwhelming, but I don't really know how else he could have ended it, to be honest. I know there's also an ARG afterwards, but I'm not sure what came of that, if there's going to be a sequel or anything like that. But overall, Inscription, very good game. It's definitely pretty high tier.
Okay. What's the thing to the left of Jazz Punk?
Left of Jazz Punk, that is Ghostbusters.
I see.
Ghostbusters, yeah, I really like the movies and shows and stories that mix like very mundane things with those sort of like fantastical things, with like normal guys doing a very uh exciting or supernatural type of job. Which I mean, Ghostbusters is exactly that. It's like almost the classic example. That other examples would be like honestly, a sci-fi example would be like something like Cowboy Bebop. Where it's like it's like being a space bounty hunter sounds really cool, but the way they go about it just seems really they have this very like bored attitude towards it. But yeah, Ghostbusters, classic movie. I watched it on a plane, and yeah, I mean it was. I mean it's a movie. It's another one of those movies, kind of like Top Gun. I saw it as a kid, but I didn't really remember it very well. And yeah, I liked it.
Mm, okay. Then so Smiling Friends, or is that
Smiling Friends is pretty good. It's I mean, it's kind of hit or miss. Not all the episodes are amazing, but every episode had at least like one part that was just really fucking good. That's really funny, and it's just really short. It's like 8 12 minute episodes, and it's another one of those shows like things like Doki Doki Literature Club that it's really inspiring that they were able to make an animated series like this for such a low budget. I think the budget for this show was like $2 million, and it's airing on Adult Swim, and ended up being pretty good. I think my favorite parts were the Mr. Frog episode and the Blackface Demon episode. Those were both very good. Especially Mr. Frog. Mr. Frog is a terrifying individual, but I like him, even though he would definitely be like quadruple canceled in the real world.
okay? Let's do Cowboy Bebop,
Okay,
and then
to be clear, this is the Netflix show, not the
okay,
TV not the
okay,
real
okay,
show.
okay.
Honestly, look, this is gonna be controversial. I thought it was better than other people said. I thought it was just barely average. I mean, it was extremely shitty in a lot of parts. A lot of elements were really shitty. Actually, I'm not sure what I liked about it. Maybe it actually was as bad as people say. I was trying to think of something good to say about it. But like all the good when I thought about it, all the
But
good,
your vibes are neutral though. You don't know
it's
anything.
like
You don't have anything good to say about it. But the vibes are neutral.
no, it's not neutral. It's kind of negative. A lot of the changes, the ending was so bad. The way they changed the ending and the way they changed some of the parts about the like it's one thing to change some parts of the characters, but they just didn't feel like even remotely like the characters, like the source material. Like Spike's attitude didn't have the sort of like one of the iconic parts about Spike in the original show is that he has this very casual attitude, but it's also very suicidal at the same time. I just didn't really feel that from the Spike. He felt very like an old fashioned like world weary cowboy type, but it didn't really fit the how I saw Spike. And this version of Faye was just not anything like the old one. The only character that's kind of like his old self was Jet. Jet actually was kind of I like some of the things they did with Jet's character. They gave him a daughter and some family things to deal with, but they also ruined his episode. Kind of, it just felt very underwhelming in comparison to the original. And pretty much all the scenes I really liked were just because they stole songs from the original show. I was like, oh, I really like that song. But it was they also did have a few new original songs from the Seatbelts, composed by the same composer also. And the new songs are also really good. So I really like the soundtrack. That's probably why I like it. I like the soundtrack. I mean, I didn't really like it either, but it was at least like it was watchable. Like I watched it. That's what I can say about it.
Okay. Rocket League.
Rocket League is one of the best games I've played. It's one of those games that just feels it's one of the most fair feeling games. I mean, just feel like random RNG bounces that kind of feel like they fuck you over. Sometimes you just lag, but it's really like one of the most fair games. It's one of the most well executed competitive games out there, I think.
Okay. Um, is that Shaq? I can't tell.
That is Shaq Fu.
Okay.
Shaq Fu is honestly it's a really bad fighting game. I so a long time ago in high school, I was in a theater play, and we went to go on a trip to go see the state competition. And on the way back, we stopped at a mall, and I bought Shaq Fu from a used game store. And then, 8 years later, I met up with one of my friends who was on that trip, and he's like, "Hey, you should bring Shaq Fu. We'll play it on my Genesis." So we played some legit Shaq Fu, and I mean, yeah, it's considered one of the worst games of all time for a reason. It's not good at all. Uh, so you know how like you can walk back and forth, as you can in most games, right?
Yeah.
It takes about 30 seconds to walk across a screen in Shaq Fu. There's like no combinations. It's just a bad fighting game. There's nothing else to say. But though it was funny to play though. It was amusing in the sense of Shaq Fu. But at the end we watched our we had to cleanse our palate with we played a little Fatal Fury. Or no, it wasn't Fatal. I think it's Killer Instinct after on the Neo Geo. But Shaq Fu itself, funny for the meme power, but uh, in all honesty, not a good game.
0-1.
I think they should make a remake though and have all the Shaq characters. They could have old Shaq, young Shaq, Magic Shaq, Laker Shaq, Kazam Shaq, Shaq Fu Shaq. I feel like they could have Chuck. They could have the whole Shaq verse.
Okay, 0-1.
What is 0-1?
It's the location, the coordinates 0-1
This one?
of an array. Yeah.
So of an array. Okay, so that'd be like
Yeah.
it'd actually be the same anyway. So
Yeah.
Big Lebowski, definitely honestly an S tier movie. That's one of those movies that's so iconic that I've been quoting it for years without having even seen the movie, just because there's so many famous scenes from the movie. So it was actually kind of really cool to actually see the actual movie and see the context of some of those quotes.
I've never seen the movie.
I mean, you know, like some of the quotes from it, though, right? Like,
Probably. I probably unintentionally know them.
like, you're not an asshole, or you're not wrong. You're just an asshole. That's one
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
famous ones.
yeah.
Or shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Yeah.
What else is there? there's there's just a scene where I think I'm trying to think what the most iconic scenes are.
No, it's fine.
Anyway, you get the point. You should
Yeah, I
watch
get
it.
that. I get the
You should
idea.
you should watch the movie. It's good. It's an S tier level movie. Deserve the hype.
Let's go ahead and do 1-1.
Arcane.
Yeah.
Arcane was. I'm trying to think if it's B or A. I think it might be A tier, honestly. Arcane. It was. I wasn't expecting much from it, but I heard some people. Yeah, it's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty good, and I think it has been a little bit overhyped after it's come out. For some reason, every video essay has to talk about Arcane. Look at in Arcane they did X and X and whatever, blah blah blah. Overall though, it was really well animated. The soundtrack was really good. I usually don't care much about animation itself, but just the art style just made it really engaging, and it made me actually kind of interested in some characters that I didn't give a shit about before. And it also made me hope for some lesbian, stuff
I
between
see.
Vi and Caitlyn in the next one. So,
I see. Speaking of League of Legends, League of Legends.
No, I'm joking. Actually, okay, here's a controversial take. This is gonna be the most controversial take, okay?
That is a very controversial
So
take.
here's the thing.
But at the same time, that's entirely fair, considering the fact that people fucking like just play that game forever.
No, the thing is, League of Legends has actually made me. Has actually changed the way I see a lot of things. So you might think. So the thing is,
so it's not even the game. It's how you've grown as a person because of it.
Yeah. So the thing is, the funny thing is, how I sometimes get mad when we play normal games.
Yeah.
Ironically, I only really get mad when I'm playing normal games. When I'm playing rank solo, I actually don't get mad for the most part. I get mad at myself sometimes, but I'm actually pretty calm. Because when I'm playing rank solo, it's kind of like I don't rage that much in TF2. I don't like Megatilth that much because I'm focused on the game and being competitive and trying to improve myself and try to win the game I'm in.
Oh, I completely understand. I'm the most toxic person ever in pubs in TF2. I do not like if anybody kills me in a pub in TF2 and I think that it's unjustified, I'm telling that guy to I'm typing out "kill yourself" and then I'm clicking escape so it doesn't actually send.
It's exactly like that though. I feel like so I joined this coaching program, the Mid Lane Academy.
Yeah,
and they it's kind of like a cult, honestly. There's this charismatic leader, and he has all these rules that you need to follow in your solo queue journey. He talks about your journey, your path, and
and he told you to not play
Pantheon. And if you say something that's out of line with the rules, people will jump on you. It's like, hey man, you can't be saying that. You're not following the path, man. And it's almost like a cult, but it's like a positive cult that makes you not be toxic in the league and makes you take responsibility for for all the mistakes. That's why I don't believe anybody that says their hearts suck because their role doesn't matter or because their team is bad, or it's all because Tempest. I know he's pretty good at the game, but the reason he's not getting better is because he doesn't have the right attitude. I think he blames too much on his teammates. He's not looking for because one thing I learned was it's not just about saying, oh, that was my fault for obvious plays. It's about saying it's your fault for plays that weren't obvious, for looking in the VODs, reviewing your games, and looking for the parts that seeing how your actions impacted other people, and seeing how that
Wow, when you put it like that, League of Legends truly does sound like an inspiring game. Now, can we? So I'm perfectly willing to accept S for those reasons. Now, can you rate it as a game without no, you can leave it in S afterwards, but just as a game.
As a game, honestly, it's always like an A tier game. It's actually pretty well balanced for how complex it is.
Okay, that's okay.
It's got some issues. It has Yumi still.
All right.
I'm gonna put Dota in just to be thematic. Actually, I haven't played Dota in a while, but I just think Dota is such an interesting game. It's just even from an outside spectator's perspective, it's one of the most interesting games to watch. I haven't played Dota in a long time, since 2014, but just watching the international this year was like it's definitely the most exciting competitive video game to watch in terms of strategy. And
I
on top of that, I just think it's an interesting game inherently. It's just so unashamedly old school and punishing in a way that other modern games aren't willing to be. And at the same time, unlike games like Quake, it actually does have a player base.
All right. Go ahead and do the one to the left of Slay the Spire.
Love to Slay the Spire.
To the left, yeah.
Oh, honestly, this might be it's not quite S tier, but it's definitely A tier. This is a Shirobako. It's a anime about an anime production studio, which this is the anime that inspired me to get a job.
with with me or
No,
with
just to get a job.
Wait, it says you rewatch it this year or something?
No, this is the first time I've watched it.
Well, oh, I thought you. Okay, no. I meant like this time when said with me, or like so not like Gary, not like
No,
but
yeah,
like
this is like I was like, all right, I'm gonna finally start applying to jobs again, I guess.
okay, I see,
So
I
because
see.
it's a show all about office work, and it's like, man, I remember back when I was working for Fast Enterprises, and I found it was bad some days, but I found satisfaction in my work when we reached the end of a project, and at the end of the first season, in the second season, they finished the season of the anime they're working on, and it felt kind of like the same way. Like this is the satisfying end of the project. I was like, man, it sounds kind of cool. I wish I could do that again.
I
So
see.
it's a little bit inspirational. So,
Yeah.
but as a story, it's another one of those shows. They're pretty creative in how they present things. The characters are they're like a little bit generic, but overall, it's still like fun to watch and all that. Uh, it's also a little bit educational about the animation industry, which I actually found kind of interesting also. So I think it's an A tier show. Maybe even it's bordering on S tier, but I'd say A tier for now. It doesn't quite have that thing to bring it to the next year. I haven't seen the movie yet though.
Okay. True Detective.
True Detective, that's an
All right.
easy joking. It's an S tier. Specifically season one. I've only seen season one. Because all three seasons are just a separate story completely, pretty much. But the first season with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, um, that was one of the most exciting American drama series I've ever watched. It's very short and doesn't waste any of the time. Like I said, with this album right here, that's what the theme song is from. Or the theme song was from this album, and just pretty much all the details, all the music, all the opening theme, all the ending themes with there's some really good songs here, like that one Towns Van Zandt song "Lungs" that just really so much great presentation and great acting from McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. With Matthew McConaughey, especially was impressive just because he has so many like these nihilistic lines. It would sound super cheesy and emo if you heard them from anyone else, but just the way he delivers them and just the way he looks makes it sells it really well. Like imagine all like that emo shit Deg says, but like imagine if it wasn't cringe, you know?
I see.
It's like he's able to take that shit he says and make it actually sound like interesting and make you take it seriously.
I see.
So I like that. And just just the plain mystery itself was interesting, and the final confrontation with the bad guy was one of the most interesting. And even the minor characters like Charlie were really well acted. Um, it's just well done from beginning to end. It's really interesting to also see how they have the three different timelines. They have the present day, the early 2000s, and then the 90s, I think. And the way they bounce between all three of those and still make it a cohesive narrative is just so well done and impressive. I don't know why they weren't able to do that for the later seasons, but the first season was really good.
Okay. Uh, do the El Camino.
By the way, are there any of these you want to comment on while we're here?
While we're here, I mean, I don't. so for I'm just only going to comment about the new ones that I have comments about rather than any of them. So like Dota 2 I is the only MOBA that I
Don't
would
first of
be
all, don't call
willing
it a
to
fucking
learn.
MOBA. I know that's
Dota?
the commonly accepted nomenclature, but I want to try to make MOBA like a slur, like you know, like
Okay, so like okay, fine. I want to I, my favorite
look.
hero clicker. My favorite hero clicker is the only hero clicker that I would be willing to play is Dota 2 because of all the hero clickers out there, like I whenever I watch Dota 2, I don't immediately get like bored. There's like the idea that there's all these like small like these like there's all these ways of doing things right to get an advantage, but they don't require you to be like fucking have autistic like must like clicking like in League of Legends where it's like, oh yeah, you need to drag this guy out a little bit up to this point, then you click back on him, you continue dragging. It's like, dude, I don't want to do any of that. To like,
we're talking about Dota
because
has more than autistic bragging mint creeps.
no, not mid though. I can just play other. I can play other lanes.
No, like
It's just okay.
the
Maybe the difference is I listen to like a fucking like when a Dota YouTuber explains it. He like they talk about like some random shit like switching your like belt, which is like mildly like autistic. But then like I hear like Tempest talk about how to like micro like play this fucking like this situation, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to like fucking QEW. I don't want to do it. I would rather have all of my autistic parts be like in a single like concentrated in mouse clicking rather than like all of that. Obviously, that means I can't play heroes like Medusa and shit like that. But like, I don't
you
really
can play
want to play
like
heroes.
Wraith King and Juggernaut.
I can play. I mean, I can also play like fours and fives and threes.
Yeah, you don't like playing fours or fives though.
I I haven't. I don't even have 20 games in Dota. Really can't decide make a statement of what I actually like. I only started playing one because everybody says that it's easiest to start playing one because you just like you if all else fails you can farm and then you're kind of doing your job. Um, Everything else, anything new that's been put out that I have from so far that I can comment on. I don't think so. I think I've been like choosing a lot of things that like I I I haven't seen. So
So you haven't
hearing a
seen
lot of
so you haven't played Shaq Fu.
I I I know it's difficult to believe, but I actually haven't.
All right, what do we do next then?
Okay, well, this last section is going to be a lot of them that I have actually seen. Like I haven't seen the Dota 2 anime. You can go ahead and track that one.
Uh,
But like,
it's like honestly, it's a little bit disappointing. It's very it just feels very so generic. It doesn't feel like it does anything out of the ordinary. It
I
just feels
see.
like the most plain fantasy story I've seen in a while. The only character I liked was Marcy, and she literally has no lines because she's a mute. And then she
Okay,
dies. So then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch the rest then.
sad. Sopranos.
Sopranos,
I'm just gonna.
that's an S tier.
I knew that wasn't S tier. I haven't even seen it, but I knew you would say that.
It's one of the it's one of the funniest shows I've seen in the sense that it's just really darkly comedic in ways that are sometimes you're not quite sure if it's intentional or unintentional. But like for example, one of the my favorite scenes is where they have an intervention with this guy that has drug and alcohol addiction, and then by the end they just all insult him in their intervention, and by the end they're just beating the shit out of him and kicking him.
Are you sure? I thought that was It's Always Sunny.
Yeah, no, that's also in the show.
I
No,
see.
they
It's
didn't
making
they didn't beat up Frank. They only
It's
insulted
true.
him.
Well, I mean, they like they pushed him a little bit. They didn't like beat him up, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, they just jumped this guy and just started stomping him in front of his mom. His mom's like, "Yeah, beat his ass."
Speaking of It's Always Sunny,
But yeah,
cool.
Sopranos. I mean, it's considered a classic for a reason. I really like. Look, the protagonist is one of those. I mean, this is a very cold take, because everyone knows that
Yeah.
that it's a pretty common take that Tony is one of those interesting protagonists in TV history. But I mean, they're really right. Just the way that he develops and kind of undevelops, and just ends up. He almost like kind of goes in like a little circle and just ends up pretty much where he began, but just an even worse person. But just the way that like they gave him a character arc and just had him pretty much just have a complete failure at redemption and just end up where he started was actually kind of I don't know what the word for it would be. It was very
Ironic.
yeah, it is ironic, I guess. And
Genius.
on top of that, just the individual scenes. There's just so many.
Ingenious.
Yeah, and there's just so many great individual scenes. Like this one part where these two mobsters are arguing, and then they, while they're arguing, some guy interrupts them, and they kill this like random civilian. And then the next day they're like, "Man, when we're arguing, it's a good thing that no one got hurt there." And it's just like stuff like that, and it's really funny. Honestly, the show's kind of like Blood Meridian in a sense. This Blood Meridian, just like they rode on and they killed and raped some people, and they rode on and they killed some raped some people, and then they rode on. It's kind of The Sopranos. It's just random bouts of violence, and then they go to the next day, and there's just more random bouts of violence, and
Okay.
which doesn't sound very great, but the way it's presented is good.
I understand, Gibber. Go ahead and do that one. Yeah,
Which
what
this
you're
one,
on right
Three
now.
Hope. Honestly, it's B tier. I haven't finished it yet, but I'll get around to it eventually. It's just a good Switch game. It's one of those mindless games that's um it's Fire Emblem which is mindless anime plot meets Dynasty Warriors, which is mindless button masher gameplay. So it's a perfect match. I really like the new character designs, and even though the plot's not like amazing or anything, I like the some of the individual character interactions are pretty good. And I mean, the core gameplay is just classic Dynasty Warriors with a little bit of Fire Emblem mixed in. It's not a very deep game, but it's all right. It's a fun little distraction to have on the road, especially since it's a portable game. It's on Switch.
The fourth game.
Fourth game, this Dead Space.
Yeah.
Dead Space. It's like B or C. It's pretty close to B. I'd say Dead Space is let me think if it's B tier. I think it's B tier just because the so I pretty much only played this game because Georgie made me because he wanted me to stream it. But it ended up being pretty good. It has kind of the sort of Resident Evil type combat, and the graphics actually hold up pretty well, even though it's a game from 2007, 2008, something like that, which is probably one of the best eras of video games. Just the atmosphere is really well done. It's not as scary as I thought it'd be, just because the problem is they give you too many strong weapons, so I didn't really feel that scary. But the combat itself makes up for it because it's just really fun. The dismemberment is really well still feels pretty modern, and they had some interesting wrinkles to the combat by adding the dismemberment feature and making that more related to damage. So overall, Dead Space it's a game that's just long enough that it doesn't feel too short, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. So it has really good pacing as well. I give it at least like a B tier. Maybe a C tier, but it's kind of on that edge.
I see. Do bottom left.
Barry, might be an S tier, honestly. So Barry season 3 specifically, which is what came out this year, was I think Barry. It's almost like a live action BoJack Horseman, which I guess you haven't seen BoJack Horseman aside from the first 2 episodes or something like that. So you probably won't have much thought on it. But it's about a hitman that joins an acting theater group, He tries to balance his life. It seems like on the surface like a just normal like oh he's a criminal that lives a double life like every other show that's come out in the last 20 years or whatever since The Sopranos. But the way it's presented, it's more of it's like a really really dark comedy, and the way they mix in the comedic elements so bleakly with the actual serious parts is it feels very cartoonish at times. Like BoJack Horseman, it's a very cartoonish cartoon, and Barry feels just like that in terms of tone. But it's still live action, which just makes everything feel much more real, I guess, and it makes it even more funny when someone gets brutally murdered in a funny way. So
If we're, this reminds me very much of the meme that we discussed a few days ago of someone you being bro. This is so funny, and it's just some guy's head getting chopped off.
look, but this is a fictional show at least.
Okay, sure, man. Spirit, father. I can't.
Spiritfarer. I think I'll like this game once I get around to finishing it. I only played for the first couple hours. Just haven't got around to playing more of it. So far, I just think the art style it's very simple, but it fits very well, and just the way they implement the gameplay loop into the story and into the individual character stories seems really interesting. It's nice that they have a little bit of a co-op feature. I'd probably say it's B tier. It might be S tier after I finish playing it, or it might be like C tier after I finish. I'm not sure, but for now I'm putting it in B.
If you feel like it has potential to go either
Yeah,
way.
it has potential to go either way. Like some people said, it drags on too long. Some people say also that just the stories and the way it blends the gameplay with the story is really good. So it might end up being like A or S tier. So it could go either way. But from what I played so far, it feels like B tier.
Top Gun, the other one.
Top Gun Maverick. So yeah, like, I was talking to my friend yesterday. Like I said, he didn't like the movie as much as I thought he would, because he was a huge Top Gun fan, and I thought he'd like it more. But he ended up not liking it just because he doesn't like Miles Teller, who's one of the main characters. And I didn't mind Miles Teller at all. I thought he was fine. And on top of that, I like that it subverts some of the things that a lot of the modern reboots have done, where it's like, oh, the new generation's taking over. This movie's like, no, fuck that, fuck the new generation. They're good and all, but it's all about Maverick. It's all about Tom Cruise, the very charismatic cult leader. And on top of that, the action. I mean, I don't usually care that much about action scenes, but the action scenes were done so well that it was exciting. I kind of wish I would have seen it in IMAX in hindsight. On top of that, the way they use the music in some of the fight scenes, like the one scene where they're doing the trading and they have that one song by The Who playing, uh, very well done stuff. And also the way that it's one of those action movie. It's a dumb action movie, but it still develops the plot along in a way that's not still like has some sort of like respect for the viewer. So I don't know. I feel like it's just sort of the kind of action movie done right. Excuse me.
Let's see.
Anyway, but yeah, I really enjoyed my time with Top Gun Maverick, and it was the kind of movie I took my dad to see it for his birthday. So it was one of those movies that we could actually enjoy together, and he really liked it, and the whole family really liked it. So it was a good, it's a good time.
The very last one.
All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Give me 1 minute. Brief intermission. All right, I'm back. What's up? Oh yeah, we're doing
Uh,
this. That's all right.
the very last one.
Okay, Mid Chronicles. It would be.
All right. Um,
Oh,
what is?
not done, not done, done. I just had to take a drink. Okay.
Okay. I was like, oh wow, that's nice and succinct.
Yes. So the gameplay. I mean, it's so classic Valkyrie Chronicles gameplay. They made scouts a little bit less overpowered and balanced a bit better compared to the first game, which was good. It was still pretty weeby. The plot was still pretty fucking anime. Um, wasn't quite as bad as the second game in the series. That was still pretty up there. Some of the characters felt a little bit underdeveloped, which is disappointing. And I didn't really buy the main character's sort of character arc as much as I wish I would have. Some of the individual characters were nice. Some of the kind of the minor side guys. And it's nice they all got their own side stories, so they all got a little bit of development. Yeah, gameplay is fine. There was like one really good part of the story that I liked in like the mid late game. And then I felt the ending was a little bit of a cop out. Overall, though, not bad.
Okay. I'm purposefully leaving ones that I can talk about till the end. Go ahead and hit me with the one with the dragon on the with the dragon eye there.
Which
There's a
one?
dragon eye. There's a dragon eye
This
on.
one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, House of the Dragon. So far, I'm really liking it so far. So I hated season 8 of Game of Thrones so much that I was like, man, I don't really care about this new series coming out. Overall, though, it kind of redeemed the series a little bit. It the one of the problems though is that it keeps referencing the original series. It's like man, I wish you'd kind of uh distance yourself from that if anything. So they're doing the opposite, which is kind of we'll see how it goes, but it's a little bit disappointing. It's like yeah, I wish it wouldn't remind me of season 8. Overall, though, from what I've read compared to the books, they some of the changes they made are pretty good. The it does feel a little bit like kind of Marvel movie action movie type. There are a few scenes like there's a scene in episode 3 where Damon kind of like just like 1v30 a bunch of guys. It just felt very fan servicey and unrealistic, even by fantasy standards. Aside from that, I mean, and there's a few other parts like that that just felt very. It felt very season 8 in a bad way. Like there's this one part where there's this one woman that she could easily just end the war, and then she's just like, no, but I'm just gonna fly away. It's like this feels like it would make more sense if she just never had the opportunity to do this in the first place. I don't know. So there's a few scenes like that I didn't like, but for the most part, I thought it was pretty well done. And on top of that, I really liked the what's his name, Paddy Constantine. His portrayal of the king Viserys was. I really liked how he portrayed the king, just as this kind of like weak guy that's uh, wants to do good, but also if you push him too far, he he's not that much of a pushover. And then the one episode before his last day before he dies, where he walks up to the throne, was that scene was just I like that scene so much that it definitely moved it from like B tier to A tier at the very least. Yeah,
I see.
I'd highly recommend this. You don't really have to see the previous series; it's a prequel, so you can go in blind.
Um, so Runeterra. Haven't seen Runeterra.
Legends of Runeterra. It's like C tier, I guess. It's an okay card game. I didn't play that much of it. I'd have to play more of it to really know if it's good.
For I'm pretty sure everything else I can leave a comment about other than Cyberpunk in the first two.
Okay, so which one do you want me to do next?
You said you wanted to do the very first one like towards the end, so let's go ahead and do Cyberpunk and then
Okay,
we'll,
Cyberpunk. I think Cyberpunk it's like B. Parts of it felt very. So first of all, I really liked the opening and the ending. That's some of the best opening and endings I've seen in a TV show for a while. Aside from True Detective, like I said, I like the opening of that. It's probably one of my favorite openings ever. But the opening and ending of this are still really good. The Franz Ferdinand song and then the unique ending song. But the show as itself, it was a little bit rushed in times because it is only 10 episodes. It feels like it's almost going too fast and doesn't develop some things with the proper amount of time it should. Overall, though, considering it only had 10 episodes, it does a lot with those 10 episodes. The ending was, I especially liked the ending that they didn't, you know, they didn't cop out or pull any punches. They just straight up said, yeah, main guy dies, but he dies in a way that makes sense.
Okay. Number 2 and then number 1 afterwards.
I haven't finished watching the show. I watched a few episodes and I was like, yeah, it's okay. Didn't get that into it, so maybe I might finish it one day. We'll see. What's the other one you said?
Number one.
Number one. All right, this is gonna be a hot take, but putting it A tier. Might even be
Is it?
Might even be. It's called Street Corner Demon, which has also been translated other ways. But anyway, initially seems like one of those like fantasy slice of life shows where it's like where there's one girl. Oh, she finds out she's a demon and she meets this magical girl. So it's one of those shows. You've seen the premise a million times before.
Yeah.
But the way it kind of adapts the source material from like a 4-koma style manga into a anime that just goes super fast paced, like kind of has the same feel. Was surprisingly well done. It also has the voice acting I really like the voice acting. The main character is played by I forgot her name. It's like the same person plays Chika in the Kaguya series, and I feel like it fits the character really well. It's also super gay, which is really cool. Another thing I like about it is it doesn't like have any super like creepy. Doesn't have like any super creepy like sexualization of like like minors, which like other series.
Is there sexualization of adults?
It's not really that like corny as a whole, really. Even though the main character is like literally a succubus, it's still not really like that horny of a show.
I see.
It's like maybe like one or two sus parts that I'm not a fan of, but for the most part, it's like pretty wholesome. But the thing that like elevates it to the next level is the fact that it's a show that seems like it has no plot at all. But as it goes on, it actually kind of develops into sort of a show that balances the slice of life, chill elements with actually having a story and character development. And the way they call back to previous elements of it. And
I see. I understand.
It's just a very cohesive. Yeah, well, fuck you. I want to talk about it because I just finished watching it.
No, I thought you were. No, I thought you were like trying to like give an excuse for something.
No. I think it's legitimately a surprisingly well done show. I'm not saying it's innovative or anything that's next level or anything, but it is. It succeeds very well in doing what it does and does it better than other similar shows. Where other similar shows are just very we're just gonna have it's like a weeb bait type thing where it's just cute girls for horny pedos to jerk off to. This is actually introduces a little bit of a story and actually has some substance to it. It's also a show that's written by a woman, which is probably why some of it is not so like creepy, I guess. But yeah, overall, I'm a fan of the show and the manga. It is at least A tier in my book.
I see. The rest of these, you can do these in whatever order you want. I can comment on them as well.
Let's just start from left to right then.
For me, this Rats Instigab is an S.
Yep, Rats Instigab. It's probably an 8. I don't think it's quite an S because I haven't played it enough, but I'd say it's an 8 tier just because it's such a simple game that it's just fun to play. There's just not really anything wrong with it. It just has no like flaws that stick out to me, I definitely give Rats an A tier. Pokemon Showdown. I haven't played it that much this year.
I think it is A or B tier. Yeah, I think it
There's
is.
a
I think there's the game is too simplistic, uh, which is not a like it's not a bad thing. That for a game to be simple. And honestly, it has like there's more like nuance to it than it might seem. But because it is so simplistic in its execution, much of the nuance doesn't can like not matter. If you know some any fucking random idiot can click buttons. Basically, is the conclusion.
yeah.
You know?
I think Showdown is. It's also one of just the most convenient pick up and play games. You can just play
Yeah.
it anytime you want. Especially if you. I just do random battle and just click a button and then you're just playing a game. If you, or you can think if you want to, or you don't have to. You don't want to. You know. Or Jazz Punk. Jazz Punk is pretty good. I liked it. It was.
It's a psychedelic experience.
It is, but it's also one of those. It's so dense with content that it almost feels a little bit exhausting to play. There's just so many jokes that I couldn't play it all in one sitting like I can most short games. But overall, I mean, it was funny, and it's one of those fun games where you can just stream in Discord and have other people watch and like kind of like play together in a sense. It's a good kind of that game, and just seeing other people's reactions also made it better. Which I guess it's not necessarily the game itself, but it was overall an enjoyable experience as a whole, holistically.
See,
Do you have any thoughts on Jazz Punk?
I mean, I mostly like watched you and like someone else play it. Yeah, it's fair. It's, I think it was really funny for what it was. It's I probably would never play it unless I. It's one of those games I feel like I would never play unless I actually started playing it, and then once I started playing it, I would play it. Like,
Yeah, like once you get started, you keep playing. But
yeah,
Kaguya manga, I'd say it's probably A tier, maybe B tier.
for me that Kokabe is probably one of the. It's above the anime at least for me, but yeah, that's, we talked about this
I'd
already.
probably say it's A tier since I put the anime here. I think it's on roughly the same level.
Yeah,
I mean, I just thought one of the supposed climax arc was very underwhelming and kind of rushed. You definitely felt that he was kind of like bored of
which one?
the one where the action arc where they go to go to the woods and have the
Dude,
helicopter and all that.
you spoiled Better Call Saul. You can spoil this one as well.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I just told you which one it
what
was. It's
oh
one where
wait,
it's like she
we're in the woods and like the. I thought the helicopter scene was cool. I thought it was nice.
it was just that particular scene, but like the whole like arc as a whole was just very. It's like he set up a bunch of stuff before that, then it just not mattering at all.
Oh wait, what?
Like there's a bunch of like characters that were set up that just didn't do anything, and including one character that just never even showed up, even at the end.
What? Oh, the fucking brother, one of the
No,
brothers.
the other guy, there's like it's like Shinzo Abe. It's not Shinzo Abe, but it's like something like that.
No, wait, Shinzo literally does show up.
Yeah,
He's
but he
literally
doesn't do anything. I thought he was gonna do
that's
something.
the joke. That's
Uh,
the fucking joke.
like, but
The joke is
there's
that
also like there's like a
they're all
but.
like everybody's like, dude, Shinzo's the go, and everybody agrees, yo, this guy's the go, and then he just doesn't do anything. That's the fucking joke.
And then there's like
I thought that was such a funny
okay,
joke,
but they
dude.
have like the whole intro scenes. Like okay, we have the whole class in the same class, and then we have like all the important characters in this class, and then they just don't do anything. Like none of the characters do anything aside from like the main core group.
I thought, dude, I just thought you. I think you focused. I think you failed to see the forest as a forest. I think
Like
you focused too
I'm not
much on
saying
the
it. No,
trees.
because I'm not saying it's like a huge downside. I'm just saying it's like a minor downside.
Okay, sure, but like I think that those were all very. I was also reading it weekly, I didn't read it in one go
I
like
did not
you
read it
did.
weekly. Yeah, I read it all in one
So
go, which is different.
so I was reading it weekly. Weekly, it's legitimately goated. Trust me, I read lots of manga weekly. It is very difficult to stand up to scrutiny like that thing did. I might reread it at some point, all at once, and then I'll give you my opinion on it. But right now, it's for me, it's an easy A.
You
I mean,
know,
sorry, S.
also there's also like I was disappointed because they introduced a couple other characters like what's her name, the Karen and Erica, and then they ended up not doing anything. I thought they're gonna get to do something for once. They're like, oh, they're in the class. This is the the dream team. But then it didn't matter at all. Even in the spinoff, it didn't matter. They didn't even matter in their own story.
Okay.
I'm also rating
I mean,
stories like as like
I mean,
a subsection of this.
okay, sure. All right.
But
I don't know. I've said my piece. That's
yeah,
what
I
I.
don't know. There's a lot to talk about because in this show. Okay, as far as the ending, I like most of the character endings. The last chapter was good. The thing is, like, I didn't even care about I don't even care about the Ishigami and Miko romance at all. But I can definitely see how people would feel ripped off by that because
No, I thought it was very obvious that they were like, oh yeah, they're gonna get together. They literally the guy literally sets it up that like so first of all, there's the future time skip where they're both like still like
not
fucking really
together.
okay. They're not together, but that doesn't matter. Like that's they're fucking good friends. I don't know. I feel like it's very easy for them. Like if they wanted to, like they could be together. I don't know.
Like I said,
It doesn't bother me.
I don't even care about that plot line that much. But
Okay.
my main problem is the fact that they had a lot of progress, and then it seems like he like went backwards in the progress for no reason aside from
Wait, with
oh it's
Ishigami and
yeah
Ishigami,
yeah
and no, he didn't. There was not that much progress. Most of
uh,
it was most no. If you act like, I distinctly remember that most of the progress, like every time people in the fucking comment section of the weekly thread, they would be like, "Oh my god, progress!" I would be like, "Dude, this is not progress. This is like all of the progress being made is in a single character's head. There's not actual like progress being made. Their actual dynamic has stayed exactly the same. The only thing that's changed is that rather than having they have a working relationship, and rather than having a purely working relationship, uh now both of them like have a working relationship where both of them think that they realize they like each other, and that's it. They don't realize that they like each other like the other likes them.
yeah. Anyway, like I said, I don't even care that much about that particular plot line.
Yeah.
What else was there? I don't have any other strong. I will elaborate more when I'm sober,
Okay,
perhaps.
sure.
All right, what's next? Franken. Franken was an A tier.
Franken was an A tier.
That's
Franken is
that's just a
really
funny
funny.
game.
Yeah.
The Godfather. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies, just because maybe it's just I don't know. What do you think of The Godfather?
Uh,
So I can tell you why you're wrong.
I mean, I'm going to call it the mid father, but I don't know. I mean, it's. I'm probably just going to go ahead and just say the reason I don't like it is because I'm a baby zoomer, short attention span. I just sat there and like was bored for like the first part of the
We
film.
learned so many fucking business lessons, though.
There were so many business lessons,
We were
and I don't
talking
remember
business.
any of them.
We were watching
We were
business.
talking, we were watching business, and we were learning business, and I don't remember any of the business lessons. Is the conclusion
Like
that I
you should
came to.
always ask someone on the daughter's wedding day for a favor.
Oh right, yeah, we do. We did remember that is something you should always do. Yeah, okay. But
Like
besides that, there
just
was not many.
like I rewatch with you guys and just like the atmosphere and the tone of it, and just the acting of Marlon Brando. He just has such an aura about him as Vito Corleone. I probably said that
No,
wrong.
no, like don't give. I think it's like I think it does what it sets out to accomplish very well. I think in terms of what it wants to do, I can't give any criticism. it's just personally like I was like, well, not for me because I don't know. Maybe it's part of it was the fact that it was spoiled to me. I already knew what was going to happen. I don't know. There was like no suspense for me. Like
Yeah, like
I,
another part, huh?
I was gonna say since there was no suspense for me, maybe that like ruined my first watch through.
Mm.
But I already knew everything that was gonna happen. I was just kind of waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, that is true. Because I mean, if you've lived, period, you've probably heard someone quote pretty much every single scene from The Godfather at some point. It's one of those films that you just naturally get spoiled by you just by existing, unless you've seen it. That's like at the
El
age of like
Camino,
10.
yeah,
I'm
and you
gonna,
don't understand it.
I'm gonna piss before I do El Camino.
You are a piss maniac.
Okay, another thing I really like about The Godfather was just it has like it writes that line very well of being subtle without being like so subtle that it becomes like unwatchable. It's just like subtle enough that it lets you like think for yourself, but also not so subtle that it's like you have to read the wiki for like 2 hours afterwards to figure out what happened. You know?
Sure. Yeah, that I can agree with that. Part of the reason I was lost part while watching it was probably because I'm like listening to Mickey Rex and Wacky Fire taking notes on how to on how to conduct business. So I was pretty distracted. But yeah,
It's true. If
I
that's
I, I get what you're
if
saying.
that's my only watch through the movie, I probably would have not enjoyed it very much either.
Okay.
El Camino, I think El Camino honestly was a bit underwhelming. El Camino was a bit mid.
El Camino wrapped up Jesse's
It
storyline.
was it's just like
That's
a nice conclusion. It's just like an
Yeah.
extra episode.
It didn't do anything special. It was a nice conclusion. That's it. That's
It's just like it's like an extra
it was
epilogue to
nice. It
Breaking
was
Bad as
nice
a
to have.
series. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything exceptional though. It's probably like the weakest out of the out of like Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, and out of
Yeah.
the Gilligan verse.
Um.
Evangelion. This is specifically the movies because I saw the movies the in
Yeah.
2021. This
Yeah.
is
The
specifically the
movie.
rebuild movies.
I think that the movies. I think so. The first two are just the show, and then the third one is shit gets off their fan, but it's still like and then like I didn't like the fourth one.
Really? Why didn't you like the fourth one? I liked the
So
fourth one is the best one in my opinion.
I like the reason that I dislike the fourth one is it's probably more to do with my due to my story of depression, right? So like fucking Shinji is like depressed, and then fucking big titty girl shows up, and he's like, "Guess I'm not depressed anymore." Uh, and then like, but if you really think about it, like if that's what happened to like change his mind, he had like uh, he had another, he had other girls like. So clearly, like my point is, the problem clearly wasn't like, oh, it's not that he wasn't getting affection. He got like sources of affection from other places. It's just uh so like this one was different for some reason. and I was just like, for what? Because it's like, canonically speaking, they don't even end up together, you know. So it's like, so what's the point if they don't even end up together canonically? If they're just like friends at the end of the movie, then
I mean, it didn't seem like they were friends. It seemed like they were more than friends at the end.
well,
Wait,
yeah, but apparently canonically they are just friends.
is this
I
According to
for
who?
story?
No,
The creator.
this is just
This is a recording.
This is just everything I've played, watched, or read this year.
Yeah, and he's rating it, and I think, and I, okay, I agree that the creator is this fucking dumbass for saying that after writing that. Like, don't get it twisted, but like, I just think that the overall how it all went down just like makes no sense. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't really care about like who he ends up with or whatever. Who he
That's
doesn't
not
end up.
really what.
Like the part I like is the final confrontation between Genji and Gendo or whatever his name is, between you and
Gendo's
your
a
dad.
little. I mean, yeah, sure, okay. There's not even really a big confrontation, is there?
Yeah, there is. There's like like the one time he actually like has a real conversation with his dad, and like they like talk about their feelings together, which is a great way to end the series, in my opinion.
I see.
I also like the
Well,
village scene where they're just chilling in the village.
I will say
That part
that.
also went hard.
Okay, yeah, no, that part did go hard. I'm again, it's I just didn't like the way that they handled his depression. That's it.
I
What
also
they should have done is they should have had him do ketamine.
yeah.
I think that would have been much more reflexive of my experiences.
Can't wait till they make a show where it's just ends with someone doing ketamine and then they're okay.
That's the dream. You make that one, Gibbert.
Maybe. But another okay. Also, this part does not matter at all. But I really like the part where Masato has the ugly hat on the whole game. She has the stout Shaco, or too refined, and then she takes it off, and then she has the OG haircut, and then she kills herself. It's pretty hype.
Okay.
It's like me at the Super Bowl. It's deep lore for all you viewers. One viewer, which is also you.
It's me. It's all me. I'm the only viewer.
It's always sunny.
I'm the fan.
This is
always sunny.
This is an S tier.
I really liked every part, every episode I've seen of it.
I mean, all I can really say about the show is that Frank inspires me as as a human being.
I cringe a lot, though. I know that's the point, though. So like, I can't really knock it too hard.
I just think of like Frank Rell as my guiding light day to day. That's the kind of man I want to be. So for that, I got to give it an S tier.
See,
Slay the Spire, give it an A tier. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it. It just doesn't have anything that brings it up to the S tier. It's definitely the best roguelite deck building game I played, but it's also the only roguelite deck building game I played, so well in competition. Played it a ton though. It's another one of those good podcast games where I can just kind of play it, turn my brain off a little bit. At least until I get to the higher, now I'm at the higher difficulties, I actually have to think a lot, so I can't really listen to podcasts and play it, which is also why I haven't played it much recently.
I see. It's a game that like requires a little bit too much attention. That I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it was chill when it was like the lower Ascension, and now that I'm playing on Ascension 20 every run, it's just like, I don't know, you gotta use your brain, Yeah, I put the anime at B, so I'm gonna put the manga at A. I mean, because it's a pretty faithful adaptation for the most part.
Yeah.
I think that just some like I mean the anime is like the way the anime is presented is really good, and it's just the problem that I just don't think they adapted like the chapters they chose to adapt is just like a really weird selection. And I think the manga kind of fixes some of that and gives a little bit more development to some of the other characters. Otherwise, same opinion for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's S. I do think it's A. Yeah, That's the adaptations are good. All three the three main casts have like really good like it's not they don't even like necessarily play off of each other that often. When they are on screen together, they have good they fit meld well together, and then they're also like independent enough to stand on their own. Yeah, so they're all really solid.
I'm putting this up because Wacky, when we played Settlers of Catan with Wacky Fireball, he he boxed me in, and then I had 3 points. So you start in Catan. For anyone that doesn't know, you start with 2 points, and you got to get 10 points. I had 3 points in a 3.5 hour game or something like that, because someone just decided to fucking troll me the whole game. So I got 3 points in 3 hours. I started with more points than I got over 3.5 hours. And I was the only person that knew how to play the game.
but then we played a second time, and then you lost again.
Yeah, but I mean, I got 9 points that time, so it was like a close game. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually doing things.
So you together that has to average out to C, surely.
No, the first game was I was in Dudinka 20,000. That was no, that's no. I can't agree with that.
Okay,
All
I
right,
see.
time to all right. Let's reorganize this list a little bit. We can do a final pass. Any final thoughts? Honestly, you gotta move Dota and League down to like A tier. You know, they don't live life like that. You know.
Yeah.
Lexir, Mass Effect, those are top tier. Dark Souls is top tier. These are definite top tiers. Yeah, I'm fine with these in top tier. Blood Meridian, I think I could move that up to S tier just because it's such a unique novel, and I haven't read books in a while, so I mean, it's kind of a novel experience. That's not a pun.
Yep.
Uh, this I'm okay with all these so far. That might be Perfect Blue up to S tier. No, it's not quite S tier. It's pretty close, but not quite there. I mean, I really like this show and manga, but I don't think I can quite give it S tier. It just doesn't have that thing that brings it to the next level, even though it is one of the best done out of that kind of subgenre. Rankin RPG is really good. Pretty happy with where these are put. Mid Fortress 2, Unwritten Objects. I have no complaints with that. Played up, I'd move it down, even though I like it, just because it's not. I haven't played it enough to really have a strong opinion on it. I'd probably move the. No, it's. I'd have to see more of the show to decide. Chainsaw Boy. Probably move that. No, it's fine right there for now. I mean, Edge Runners. It was exciting enough, just moment to moment, that I think I had to move it up a little bit. Anything else here? I mean, just in terms of like week to week, how much I look forward to an episode, I think I gotta bump that up a little bit. Maybe not though, but maybe so, but maybe not.
Well, so
But yeah, moving on. A Donder. We got Fire Movie, Cowboy Bebop. We got Obamid. We got Cyberpunk. I guess Cyberpunk. I don't know. PUBG. I guess I had some fun moments in PUBG. And Check Fu was fun in the same sense the Fire Movie was. It was just funny to laugh at. So I guess Shaq Fu is probably better than CS:GO. And this one I had some fun moments. I guess I can bump that to D. Everything else, yeah. I think this is about it. Do you have any final thoughts?
um uh I got me some thoughts. They thought I was gay. No,
I mean, yeah,
no,
I've thought that for a
true.
while that you just have some repressed homosexuality, but because you're Russian, that you've internalized some shame about it. But I'm telling you, it's okay. You can come out. I won't.
Well, I,
I won't fuck you, even though I think it'd be funny. But nonetheless,
oh man, I really wish I was gay because I'm like the amount of people that say I'm a femboy, like a lot compared to the average population. I feel like I would really wish I was gay. Fortunately, I just like tits too much.
it's really unfortunate for you. All right. Well, I have no final thoughts. I think I will wrap
In the
up my
video,
what?
and you're gonna end the video.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a pretty accurate representation. Let's see. Really like Mass Effect Flex here. Better Call Saul, Dark Souls 3, Rocket League. I think Rocket League I haven't played enough this year to say it's S tier. It's still A tier at least. Big Lebowski. I'd probably say it's like A tier. Everything else I really like. Yeah, this is feeling right to me. Everything in I'd say like S tier is like God tier stuff that I'll remember forever. Um, so by that metric, I'm probably gonna move down Barry a little bit. A tier is stuff that I really like. I'll still very impactful. That still very memorable. Stuff that I've thought about a lot and really enjoyed. I think that's about right. And B is like stuff that's good, but maybe not. I mean, I guess I have to move up TF2 by that metric. I guess it is a little bit top heavy, but naturally, the stuff I choose to watch or play is naturally going to be stuff I think I'm going to like. B tier is just stuff that's like pretty good, but maybe not life changing or anything. I might forget about it at some point. He's like, it was alright. It had some good moments, but had some flaws, held it back. D is like, I didn't really care about it that much, but it wasn't terrible. And F is like, it's had a negative impact on my life. And
Never
then
gonna ask you to play CS:GO again. I'm sorry, Gibber.
thank you. I appreciate that. All right, and that is a wrap.